some FanDuelers, and let's get ready for a lot of information for Week 5 FanDuel slate preview. Been a little busy. I didn't get to do grade A picks. Had some, not family issues, but I had to help family out, do some things. Take care of family first, as always. But I'm gonna make sure I get a grade A picks and maybe a little bit of a final, preview of the. Try to do grade A picks and mix it in with a little bit of final information for the slate or whatever. But I'm definitely gonna try and keep this habit of getting the preview out early instead of like how I started in the beginning of the season, like in the middle of the week. So it's good to get a head start on a little bit of info. So as for me, I didn't really give a review for how I did the week before. Was able to get a couple of satellites for some like World Cup stuff. I'm very excited because hockey's coming back. That's my main thing on DFS. And I also was able to get one ticket for that 250 fan championship, so that was pretty good. And yeah, I am trying to get into the world championship as well, but that's pretty hard. But and as for this past week, yeah, it didn't really go too well. Played a single game with my team in Denver. Looking forward to the next single game because they play Indianapolis on Thursday. And yeah, I have for the couple of hundred that I put in, I didn't get much back. So we're just gonna end on that. So, but hey man, for the quick week 4 recap, hey man, if you didn't have any of that Detroit Seattle game, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know how you did. Other than that, Christian McCaffrey got bailed out by a late long TD. Hawkinson did amazing. And pretty much Josh Allen had another decent game. I had a feeling that game was going to bust, so I didn't have too much of that game. But other than that, like it was pretty much exciting week 4. A couple of guys that you were used to getting consistent, as in Amari Cooper didn't really do much. Drake London didn't really do much. A lot of injuries. You had Javonte Williams, who's pretty much out for the season. Who else? A little bit of hurt to the Bills wide receiver depth. If I remember, Jameson Crowder broke his ankle, so he's out for a while. We'll get to that. We're actually going to get to that soon because actually the preview is going to start with the wide receivers because I got a lot of wide receiver notes and a lot of the wide receivers have good matchups. But yeah, there's a lot of injuries, a lot of crazy things happening on. But hey, can't get mad at the slate. Whatever you pick, who you pick, and you go who you have. And hey, let's go. Let's get it started. So instead of going quarterback, running back, wide receiver, we're actually gonna start wide receiver because with wide receiver, I actually have the most notes. So we'll start from there. And then we're gonna start with obviously at the top. We always gotta start with him. And yes, Dallas's defense is playing well, but like I said, he's the best route runner in the league, or one of the best route runners in the league. Whether he's going long, deep slant, cross slant, short route, button hook, you got to go with Cooper Kupp, 9,500. I think that is the highest salary on the slate, 95. Yes, it is 95. Next to him would be 94, Nick Chubb. And then after Nick Chubb, it's Austin Eckler. Then it's Austin Eckler tied with Josh Allen at 9,000. Then you just go down from there. But come on, man. I don't really have to say much about Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is Cooper Kupp. He's a lock every week, no matter what the matchup is. He's pretty much locker proof. After that, you got Justin Jefferson, who had a down week the week before, but then came back with a solid week just now against the London game against the Saints. And now he's going against Chicago. Yes, Chicago has a very highly rated fantasy pass defense, but that defense is not really what it's supposed to be, so don't be afraid to lock in Justin Jefferson. You got Diggs against Pittsburgh. They'll probably put their top cornerback on him, but still, it's still a pass-heavy offense, so the opportunities will be there. So no worry about Diggs at 8,600. And I apologize, I did skip his price. Just Jefferson's at 8,800. Tyreek Hill against the Jets. Jets are another overachieving defense, but they have yet to see talent like this. So Tyreek Hill, 8,400 in New York. And then, of course, once again, like last week, they got the Browns all together. So let's go through all the Browns. My last name is Brown, so these guys are going to get all the props and attention they can get from me. The sun god from We're gonna go with the Sun God from the Lions. We gotta pay attention to see if he's gonna come back for next week. Right now, he's still rocking the Q tag. It is still early, which is why I'm getting this out early. So pay attention to the news. I will definitely update week 5 Friday. And you got Amon-Ra St. Brown at 8,200 at New England. You got A.J. Brown, who's the target monster. In Philly, going against a suspect secondary in Arizona. And then you got Hollywood Brown, who's doing his best to, be the number one target until DeAndre Hopkins gets back. He has Philly. He's most likely going to draw Philly's top cornerback. But, like I said, the opportunity is there. They could do his best. They could do their best to move him around, put him in a slant. Hollywood Brown is getting like 10, 9, 14 targets a game. So, I don't care what the matchup is. I mean, if he was going against like Denver's cornerbacks or something like that. But Philly defense is stout. But Marquise Brown at 7,800 is still a look. A.J. Brown at 8,000. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 8,200. Once again, I'm definitely high on Miami. I think Bridgewater looked good in place of Tagovailoa. Tagovailoa is already ruled out. So it might be a cheaper stack. We'll get into the quarterback prices later. But Jalen Waddle that's still at 7,700. Jalen Waddle has the output for it. He should at least be respected for an 8,000 receiver. But against the Jets, I'm pretty sure whoever the Jets' best guy, they're going to either single or double Tyreek, which opens up for Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's going to just... If you ask me, I'm actually higher on Jalen Waddle than I am on Tyreek Hill at 7,700. You got Christian Kirk, who's a target monster for Trevor Lawrence. They're going against Houston. Like I said, Houston does play solid defense, but that defensive backfield is a little suspect for the big plays. 7,600 for Christian Kirk. My faves this week. Home, good weather. They're going against Atlanta. If there was any signal that you should be ready to rack them up in cash games, maybe even tournaments, and then just get different with your lineup, I'm a favorite. As long as you're active, you got to see what's up with Julio Jones and Russell Gage. But Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, I'm big on all the Tampa Bay wide receivers going against Atlanta this week. They're definitely one of the bottom ranked pass defense in the league. Mike Evans at 7,500. Will definitely go down a little bit. The next person, and then what's funny is I'm doing this video and he just finished catching a 54-yard. He just finished going for a 54-yard touchdown. We got Deebo Samuel, who's currently playing in Los Angeles as I'm doing this video. I'm about to go into halftime. If I click on this, we got about 40 seconds in the first half. 14-6. San Francisco is up. And it looks like I think they were able to get a sack and they forced a fourth down, so it's 4th and 23. So the Rams are definitely going to have to punt. San Francisco is going to have a chance to try and do something with one timeout with 41 seconds left. So let's continue to get into this preview. Deebo Samuel against Carolina. Like I said, Carolina's a mess. They're already looking at hoping that Sam Darnold can give a little bit of a change, and that's the guy you wanted to replace. And now Baker's just... I don't know, it just doesn't seem to be working with Baker. It seems like he had the one good game against Cleveland, and then it just hasn't been working out. So Deebo against Carolina, 7,300. You gotta like CeeDee Lamb. I'm gonna mention CeeDee Lamb because I think he's definitely asserted himself as the alpha. He will draw Jalen Ramsey. Definitely not one of my favorite plays, but Jalen Ramsey does have a tendency to get burned. CeeDee Lamb could burn him deep for 7,200. I think I like that. We're going to scroll down. Please watch out for his Q tag because after Tampa Bay, I think my second favorite stack might be New Orleans. If they're healthy, Michael Thomas has Seattle. Nobody can guard Michael Thomas on Seattle, short or deep. 7,100. That might be a nice cheap stack there. If we go past that, we're gonna scroll down once again to stick with the lineup. Seattle. If Michael Thomas is out, then you definitely boost Chris Olave. Chris Olave leads all wide receivers in yardage per attempts. He's getting all the deep targets. He leads all the past Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, all of them. Mike Evans, all those deep targets. Every time there's an attempted pass towards Chris Olave, that pass is something very deep. It is something that's more than 15, 20, even 25 yards. He leads all the air yards if you want to learn about more advanced stats. And those are the kind of stats where he gets a couple passes and he gets his 3, 4 receptions for 38 yards, and then boom, he gets that one bomb that like kind of like breaks the slate where you need him to go, where he'll just go for like 65 yards with the .5 catch and FanDuel plus a touchdown, and then automatically takes over as the number one wide receiver. He has that capability, so keep a lookout for that. I always tout Brandon Cooks because when it comes to targets, he is the best guy. Davis Mills sees nobody but him. 6,800 at Jacksonville. We'll scroll down a little bit more at 6.6K. Devontae Smith at Arizona. Once again, that's a secondary that I've been saying every week that I do not respect. So Devontae Smith along with AJ Brown is still a good look. Terry McLaurin. Tennessee is not a defense. Maybe they're front seven against the run, but when it comes to the pass, Terry McLaurin, as long as he gets the looks, which I think he'll get the looks, I'll tell you why he's going to get extra looks. Terry McLaurin against at home against Tennessee, 6.5, 6.5K. We'll scroll down a little bit. Here's who I'm big on: Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen is pretty much. Adam Thielen is pretty much now, after it seemed like he was just pretty much ignored towards the season. Adam Thielen has now went from 4, 7, 8, and 9 targets per game, and that's led to his fantasy output improving. Please don't forget about Adam Thielen. The man's a stud, and at 63, I think that's one of the best values that you can play this week. And then, of course, with his matchup, Minnesota is going up against Chicago. So if all the attention goes to Justin Jefferson, look for Adam Thielen to get a couple of quick slants or maybe even deep slants and break a big one against Chicago. Drake London, you gotta love Drake London because you can't run. The last 2-3 years, you cannot run against Tampa Bay. The volume is gonna be there. Do not be afraid again. If the stack didn't work for you last week, definitely fantasy is about opportunity. Sometimes it's about matchup. It's about opportunity. Mariota, Pitts, London. Look for that stack. They have to throw the ball against Tampa Bay because you can't run against Tampa Bay. And most importantly, they're going to pass it at least maybe a little bit more because Cordero Patterson is on IR with a knee injury. Temporary IR, which means he has to sit 4 weeks. So, what's the two guys named? Algier, and I forgot the other guy that they have on their roster. But when it comes to the pass against Tampa Bay, rule out the running backs. To me, they're a fade for me because they don't even pass to Algier. Algier is more of a runner, and Drake London and Kyle Pitts. And you might even want to get even a little sneaky because I did it last year one time and he even helped me out. Olamide Zacchaeus, he's definitely in the 5K range. Just like I said, it's for fantasy. And then I don't think Atlanta wins the game, but for fantasy purposes, a thumbs up for all Atlanta wide receivers. Mariota definitely has the capability to get it to those guys because you're gonna have to beat them through the air. Once again, I'm big on all Tampa Bay wide receivers. That's probably my favorite stack. If you ever been excited about Tom Brady after what you saw, what he did against a mid-level defense, Atlanta is one of the worst pass defenses. So you gotta like people like Russell Gage at 62. Watch this Q tag. Because it could be big. As I said with the injuries, Jameson Crowder has a broken ankle. Who knows how long? He's pretty much out indefinitely. It's not ruled out that he's out for the year. You might not see him for a while. But Isaiah McKenzie at 61. After Diggs, you might have just him and Gabe Davis. Isaiah McKenzie definitely goes a rack up. He's 6,100 with the capability to look like a 7K wide receiver with Jamison Crowder out. And then as we keep going down a little bit, like I said, Gabe Davis is at 6 even. We keep scrolling. You might want to go Brandon Ayuk. You could go for 5,900. This is where I want to get interesting. So one of the best value plays will most likely, if he's ruled out, Jahan Dotson left last week's game with an injury and he has a Q tag. It seems to be serious because Jahan Dotson might miss the rest of October with his hamstring injury. If he's out, not only is he the gadget guy, because I just spoke up Terry McLaurin, you might want to look up Logan Thomas as well. But I think Curtis Samuel is a at 58 at home against Tennessee. And like I said, that's not a defense you're scared of. Curtis Samuel has slate breaking opportunity at 5,800. Curtis Samuel should be valued as more of a high 6K, maybe even close to 7K because of what he does with running and passing, kind of like corner passing, kind of like Debo Samuel. But if Johan Dotson most likely will be out, he's looking like he's going to miss all of October. I really think Curtis Samuel is definitely a good look. He's definitely someone that I'll be looking at to help with a little bit of salary relief being under 6K. And then if you go down a little bit more, if he's healthy, he could break a brick play. Julio Jones, 57. Uh, Other than that, if you want to scroll down a little bit, even though Chris Olave is there, if Michael Thomas is out, please look for Jarvis Landry because Jarvis Landry is still capable of taking a slant and going deep with it at 5,500. Like I said, Seattle defense is not good. And then as we keep going down, I don't really think I see anything else. There might be one more person. Oh, there's one person I definitely want. And then Olamide Zacchaeus, I did talk about him at Atlanta, 5,300. He gets so many targets in Houston, Brandon Cooks, that Mills seems to like only focus on him. But let me tell you something. I've watched a few games, and if you want to get sneaking in GPP, not for cash games, you definitely don't do this for cash games. I think I already gave you a couple of guys that's in the low sixes and high fives for a cash game. But if you want something that can get different, let me tell you something. He looks sharp when he gets these passes, deep slants, couple of deep routes. Nico Collins on Houston. Hey man, I don't mind sharing my secrets. I picked him a couple times, and he's helped a little bit. Nico Collins on Houston is 5,400 at Jacksonville, and let me tell you something. Solid performer, nothing great, but for 5,400, a guy that's getting, forget week one. Week one was just 3 targets, 9 targets, 4 targets, 5 targets, and yes, I understand it's about Damian Pierce and Brandon Cooks, but Nico Collins and the other guy, I forgot the guy's name, but his last name is Moore. He definitely has the deep threat. He's a speedster, but Nico Collins seems to be the perfect combination of short and deep route. I like him as a GPP play. He definitely gets a decent amount of opportunity. Just finished with 3 for 82 yards. He's getting, he does what he has to do for 5,400. He's always been, all season, he's been 51, 53, 5,400. This is the most expensive. Obviously, I've been watching him. This is the most expensive he's been all season at 5,400. So, 5,400 for a guy who constantly, is around like 7, 9 points or whatever, who has the ability to break one. And if he breaks one, that 7 to 9 turns into 16 to 19 points. In the case with a long yardage and a touchdown with a .5 reception. But, that's my little GPP play for you guys for wide receiver. I like Nico Collins. Nico Collins has looked sharp. And under Nico Collins, I don't really see anything else. Like I said, Olamide Zacchaeus, Ben Skoranek. Like I said, Jameson Crowder's out. If you want to go a little lower, there's only 2 more people I want to talk about before I go, back in order to the quarterback. And, man, I'm sorry to say this, but, like I said, you can also go KJ Osborne. I like going KJ Osborne. That's another GPP play. He could also, it goes against my Thielen pick, but he could also hurt. You want to go a little cheaper and hurt some of the Thielen owners. KJ Osborne was a good pick against Chicago, but man, I've said a couple of things that was like, okay, whatever. Like I said, I was big on Michael Thomas in preseason. I've had a couple of things buying a cheap defense. Oh yeah, the other Houston wide receiver, his name is Chris Moore. And then you still got Khalif Raymond at 5,100. But I think they're expecting Amon-Ra St. Brown to come back. But like I said, those are still guys that you can still pick. Other low GPP threats who could catch them deep. Marquez Callaway has the speed to beat Seattle deep at 5,100. That's another GPP play you might want to look into. But let me go back up here and let me tell you something, man. Can they please start using my man differently? Because my man came back and they did the same goddamn thing as last year. The man was catching balls around the line of scrimmage, and they was hoping for him to, do everything by himself. First game back, Rondo Moore, decent, 5 targets. The targets are decent, 5 targets. So he was, I'm not saying he was a focal point, but he was paid attention to. 3 receptions, 11 yards. Can you please let the man run routes? The man is talented. I'm sorry. But when you did let him run routes, he did show something last year. The man is talented. Stop making me look bad and give that man the damn ball down the field. Not even down the field. Give it around like the first down marker, please. Like, come on. Like, don't get discouraged, but don't get discouraged by the Rondo Moore. Like he didn't really do nothing. Rondo Moore didn't really have a chance. They're still using him the same as last year. I thought they would expand his usage, but they really didn't. Most of the downfield looks went to Hollywood Brown with a little bit of Dortch, and Dortch didn't really do much, but he definitely got more targets and looks downfield than Rondo Moore. So like right now, the Rondo Moore thing is not really looking too good, but they got to use him differently. Like even when Seattle and Minnesota had him, and I'm gonna take it a few years back, the Florida guy, when they had Percy Harvin was used in multiple ways. He ran slant routes, he ran deep L routes, button hooks. He did reverse it, but like I said, they're using him differently. Rondo Moore literally got a guy that's catching either 2 to 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage, at the line of scrimmage, or he's running like the quickest button hook you ever seen in history. I don't think he's ever. I'll be interested if somebody's actually tracked that stat. How many routes has he ran longer than 10 yards? And I think I can count on 2 hands. It has to be. So, but that's the wide receiver rundown for you guys. Like I said, I started with them first, and that's already taken about, I've seen my time of 21 and a half minutes because I had a lot to say about wide receiver. Well, a lot of operative wide receivers, yeah, there's still a lot of news. But yeah, there's guys that's already banged up. Some already out. Like I said, Crowder's out. I don't think Johan Dotson plays or whatever. So, and I gave you a couple like GBP picks for like big fields, whatever. So you know the guys or whatever. But hopefully some of those lower owned guys or those lower name guys or whatever, or people that you can use for salary relief and for GBP plays. So let's go back to the top, and how I normally start the videos. We'll go, let me get back to this quarterback lineup, and let's start. Now, with wide receiver and all that info out the way, let's get to like the actual slate review. So, week 5 preview, pretty much once again, we got the London games. So, we got the London, Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night. So, that means, remember this clear, if you haven't looked at the slate, listen to me right now. No Indy, no Denver, no KC, no Vegas Raiders, no Giants, no Green Bay, no Baltimore, no Cincy. They are not on the slate. So that means no Lamar, no Joe Burrow, no Jamar Chase. There's no Saquon. There's no Aaron Rodgers. There's no Michael Pittman. There's no Russell Wilson. And one of the top performers in fantasy, even getting touchdowns, whether if he gets it or no touchdown. There's no Cortland Sutton. So there's quite a few good guys that you're really going to miss there. Obviously, no Patrick Mahomes, obviously. There's no Kelsey. There's no, pretty much the top 2 tight ends are gone. Pretty much two to three quarterbacks in fantasy are gone. So, got to think of some stuff. But as we get to the QBs, as we get to the quarterbacks, there's still some stuff there that we all love to play. We're going to have Josh Allen. Josh Allen's right there again. He didn't go too far up. He pretty much stayed the same, 9K. Next to him, home against Pittsburgh. After that, I think the guy who really has the highest upside, probably the highest ceiling, you're going to have Jalen Hurts at Arizona. Arizona, he's 8,600. You're going to have Justin Herbert at 8.2K. I like him even more if once again, first of all, I'm glad he's okay. Jadeveon Clowney might still be out, and then you have oh man, what's the other defense end that just got into a car accident? He wasn't cleared, but who knows if he's gonna be cleared for next week. But Cleveland's definitely dealing with some injuries on the defensive end, so I definitely like Justin Herbert more if some of those guys are still out. If we scroll down a little bit, then we got Jared Goff. Yes, New England's a solid defense, but they're still a little dinged up, and they're tough. They're a tougher running defense than they are passing defense. And if he gets Amon-Ra St. Brown, I definitely like him better. Like I said, Belichick is good at keying in on opposite team strength. So if you already got the best player on the team out again, then I'm pretty sure he could take out. I'm pretty sure he'll be looking to knock out Hawkinson and let Khalif Raymond, Cephas, and whoever, and Reynolds, and playing them 1-on-1. But like I said, Belichick can come up with some schemes or whatever the case is. I'll scroll down a little bit more. Like I said, I think the top play has to be Brady. That's just me. Brady gets Atlanta good weather. Like I said, uh, not so good pass defense. Like I said, I'm big on the wide receivers, so you know I got to be big on Brady. 7,800. Not only do I like the matchup, but I love the price on Brady. We got Trevor Lawrence, 7,600, home against Houston. That looks real good. If he's available to play, I definitely like Jameis, but like I said, multiple rib fractures is not looking really too good. Pay attention to the news, 7,300. And like I said, if Michael Thomas plays, Kamara plays, those guys, I love them just as much as Tampa Bay. Kirk Cousins, 7,100. I got a feeling, though, that could be a dud, though. I like Kirk Cousins, but that seems like he might get like a touchdown and decent yardage. I think Dalvin Cook actually run all over the Bears, where they might be a Dalvin Cook day. Just worried about that. We'll scroll down a little bit. I actually like Jimmy G against the struggling Carolina team. That whole organization needs to be in disarray. Tannehill against Washington. Now, you know I've been keeping a, if you've been watching these videos, you know I've been keeping track of this. This is week 5. You know what that means. They need him back. He will be back. You're gonna have a fresh Chase Young on that defensive line of Washington. It makes a big difference. But once again, if Chase can't get to the quarterback, those defensive backs are not that good. You know I'm always roasting Washington defensive backfield. So Tannehill is definitely it's going to be a low owned and also cheap like Garoppolo. Garoppolo at 7,000. You got Ryan Tannehill at 69. And then once again, it's not the best matchup, but when we getting cheap and we're going bargain hunting, I think the lowest that I'm gonna go is Marcus Mariota at 6,800. I already spoke about the wide receivers for Atlanta. And Carson Wentz, like I said, Tennessee's defense is not nothing to scare at. You can say whatever you want about Carson Wentz. It's about fantasy and opportunity. And Carson Wentz will chuck that ball. You can say what you want about Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is averaging just under 20 FanDuel points a game. Against Tennessee, that could be a game that shoots out too. So, all in all, you got a guy that, yeah, he struggled the last 2 games. Philly seems to be one of the best defense. Philly is one of the best defenses in the league. And Dallas leads the league in sacks. So if you put pressure, a guy's not going to do much. But Carson Wentz, when he goes against iffy to bad defenses, he's putting up numbers. He's putting up almost 30 points in FanDuel points. And he's going against Tennessee, who's not a good defense. So he has that 22 to 30 range output possibility again for 6,800. Gives you a little salary cap relief, and you might be able to fit in like Cup or whatever the case is. You might be able to stack, do a little mini stack with Carson Wentz, and then put in either Samuel or McLaurin, and then come back with a runner like Henry or whatever. Then you can still fit in like a big guy like Cup or whatever. Why can you do that? Is because when I get to tight end seems pretty easy to fit. But let's get to running back first. As we get to running back, number 1 player, right? Like I said, he's right under Cooper Kupp. You got Nick Chubb at 9,400 against LA. Los Angeles Chargers. I'm a little shocked. Whatever, they did improve when you look at it on paper, but they haven't shown up really, and they're one of the worst run defenses in the league. And when all these other teams in the AFC West improved name-wise anyway, with Russell Wilson, and then Juju Smith-Schuster went here, and then Devontae Adams went to the Raiders. These guys had their offensive balance. They added Gerald Everett, but they really did a lot on the defensive end, But now Bosa's hurt. Mack is not performing the way it is, and that defensive secondary is not playing well or whatever. So Nick Chubb is going against one of the worst run defenses technique right now in the league, 9,400. You could go Eckler right back at Cleveland or whatever, especially if they're still hurt at 9K in that same game. Derrick Henry. Well, like I said, the Washington front 7 is still good. They're still a top 10, 12-ish ranked run defense or whatever. But like I said, it's Derrick Henry. You always take a chance on that. If people are scared of Washington, why not pick a low on Derrick Henry? That can always go in your benefit. We'll scroll down a little bit, and I think my next favorite person will be Jamal Williams at 8,300. I think I had Jamal. Yeah, he's 8,300 going against New England. He looked like he's gonna get all that work. Like I said, I got a feeling that they're gonna keep out DeAndre Swift through their bye week. I think they have a bye week either next week or the following week, and they'll have DeAndre back fresh, healed, and most importantly, rested. Leonard Fournette is the man in Tampa Bay going against Atlanta. If Atlanta stuffs the run, Leonard Fournette is good at catching those short screen passes and short outs from Tom Brady. Miles Sanders against Arizona, 7,600. You can't go there, but like I said, I'm about to just go from here, and I'm just gonna let you know, like when it comes to the running backs, man, I'm pretty much in love with all these guys that are in the 7K range. Just listen to all these names and listen to their matchup. I just told you Fournette and Miles Sanders. Next is 7,500 Damian Pierce, Florida. I told you guys about Damian Pierce. It's all about giving an opportunity. No, they don't throw him the ball that much, but Damian Pierce against Jacksonville is a great matchup. Dalvin Cook against Chicago, 7,300. Just in case something happens, let's say his shoulder acts up or whatever. Once again, congrats FanDuel. Alexander Madison the same price as Dalvin Cook. Damien Harris against the worst defense in the league, Detroit. Home against New England. Khalil Herbert going against Minnesota. Not the best run defense. If he's healthy, David Montgomery is the same price as Khalil Herbert. Like I said, I love the guy at 7,000 range. Alvin Kamara. If he feels better, he's going against one of the worst defenses in the league in Seattle. There's a lot. I mean, the big names are obviously up top, but there are a lot of great DFS plays in the 7K range of FanDuel. It's up to what you want to cover with. If I just gave you those names with those kind of matchups and at that price, you might be able to get two solid guys in the 7,000s without even touching any of the guys in the 8 or 9K range. Just saying. Not saying the 8 and 9K range is bad, but there's a lot of good opportunities in the 7K range. And just outside the 7K range, what do we have here? We got Rashad. No, not Rashad Penny. What was I looking at? Because Rashad Penny got a bad match against New Orleans. There was something that was just outside. There was something that I saw. Oh, yeah. 6,500 Jeff Wilson against Carolina. I kind of like that. And then right next to him is Antonio Gibson at 63. We scroll down a little bit with the running backs, whatever. And okay, so we got a lot of interesting stuff here. Got quite a few interesting things. So I did say Damian Harris, but also Ramondre Stevenson. Those guys are pretty much splitting the carries. So Ramondre Stevenson against Detroit, he can bust a big one. He's right there at 6K. And then you have these two guys just in case. Just in case that a Kamara doesn't start or whatever. You got Latavius Murray and Mark Ingram. They literally split the work when he didn't play last week in the London game. And they're also right at 6K. So there's some good value there. Once again, there's a value that you got to pay attention to the news. And it depends on who you feel more comfortable with. But yeah, there's a lot of guys that you don't have to go to all the way to the top. You got Kareem Hunt at 5,900 against the Chargers. Raheem Mostert 58 if you want to get a little different. And like I said, I mean, yes, Cordero Patterson is out. Cordero Patterson he's out for 4 weeks, but like I said, you don't run against Tampa Bay, so Tyler Algier and Caleb Huntley did split the work. Like I said, Tyler Algier is the more common name that being more paid attention to, but I'm fading Atlanta. Most of the time I fade running backs regardless. Even in a single game, I'm not picking running backs against Tampa Bay, so that's not really going to happen. And I think we're good on that with the running backs plays. So now let's go to the tight ends and defense. Tight ends and defense are going to go by pretty quick. Like I said, with the tight ends, and because I told you with the slate, tight ends are pretty cheap because no Kelsey, no Andrews on the main slate. So automatically, we're starting at $7,000 with TJ Hockenson. With the game that he had, you know he was going to get boosted up. But if Amon-Ra St. Brown comes back, you might have the smart idea of fading TJ Hockenson. He's not going to blow up, but I don't think he's going to pay off for a tight end at 7,000. No disrespect to TJ Hawkinson. He did his thing for me in my one season long league on ESPN. But if Amon-Ra St. Brown comes back, I will strategically, I will still have him. I won't totally do it, but I will strategically fade TJ Hawkinson because some of that attention will go away from it. And then I also think if you guys are paying attention to, Jared Goff is big on repertoire with some of those younger guys, Cephas, Reynolds, and so on and so forth. And then of course Jamal Williams catches out the backfield as well. And with the backup to him is also Reynolds or whatever, who's also doing both running and catching. So Amon-Ra St. Brown is definitely big on how much he's not a total fade, but if Amon-Ra St. Brown is active, he will definitely influence on how much TJ Hawkinson I have. As we go down a little bit, you have George Kittle at 6,500. One of my favorite plays probably this week, even though they're all good at against guarding the tight end. He gets so many opportunities. I got to go with Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett is averaging, he's not the biggest name when it comes to all these guys, but when you're averaging almost 7 targets a game, there's opportunity there, and they do look for him in the goal line. So that's also big in fantasy. After that, you got Goddard, another good look against a bad Arizona defense. He's at 6,100. After that, I can't stop going to Zach Ertz. He's done his job for the cheap price they keep him at. I don't think he's hit 6,000 yet. He's at 5,900. Zach Ertz, 8 targets per game. I mean, come on. 5,900, 8 targets per game. I mean, and DeAndre Hopkins still not there. Like, why not go back to Zach Ertz? I'm just saying. I'm just letting you guys know. Fire move 5,800 against Buffalo. If they're forced to pass, and Kenny Pickett's been back in there, whether if it's Trubisky, whoever the quarterback is, Frymouth is another one who's almost averaging almost 8 targets a game. If you want to be exact, I think he's averaging 7.49 targets a game. The opportunity is there. You got Pitts against Tampa Bay. I already told you Atlanta's gonna have to throw that ball. You gotta pick Atlanta. Just pick Atlanta receivers based on opportunity. You just have to. You just have to. On top of that, I also like Tyler Higbee. He's averaging averaging about almost 6 targets a game. And he's once again bargain price. I don't think Tyler Higbee's over 6,000 yet. So, but we all know how funny the tight end position is in fantasy. After that, if you want to go a little different, hey man, Logan Thomas. Like I said, especially if Dotson's out, that's one less person that Logan Thomas has to compete for targets for. Logan Thomas, as long as he doesn't hurt himself, because he is injury prone. But Logan Thomas has had an okay season so far. 6, 3, 5, and 6 targets so far. 1 touchdown so far. But if Dotson is out, look for that target. Look for that target range to stay between 5, 7, maybe even 8 max. If they're forced to throw that ball. And let's wrap this up and get to the defenses. To finish this up, like I said, it's been working well for me all year. I hope you guys are taking the same thing. I had the Raiders defense in a lot of my lineups, and they scored 13 points and they were the flat minimum. That's a win. If you got the flat minimum, I just hope that you picked the right guys. If you had that much kind of salary relief, but this week, Buffalo's 5K against Pittsburgh. Like I said, whether they go against Trubisky, they'll probably turn them over. Yes, I understand that. Miami, even at the Jets, Miami's a solid defense. Tampa Bay at home against Atlanta. But my favorite plays are from top to bottom. I love 47. Now with the QB situation, yes, Detroit is. It's not my favorite play or whatever, but it's something to mention because New England might be starting the third stringer, so that counts for something. That counts for something. New England third stringer, so it counts for something. 4,700. But I'm just giving you that. Like I said, Detroit is the worst, but New England might end up starting that a third stringer because Hoyer did hurt himself in that game. After that, we're gonna go 4 point. We're gonna go 4,500 to 4,400. We'll go with Philly against Arizona, and then we're also gonna go against San Francisco against Carolina. if you told me to, if you forced me to pick one as aggressive as Philly is with sacking the quarterback, I might take a chance with San Francisco being $100 cheaper, and the fact that Baker Mayfield has a higher capability than Kyler Murray to throw the pick six. That's just me. After that, you got the Vikings 4.3 home defense against a very inept, one-sided Chicago offense. And then after that, my other two favorite plays, I don't think I like anybody towards the bottom at 3,000 or whatever like that. Not really going to mention anybody. I really don't like nobody that low. The lowest I like is in the 36 to 3,800 range. At 3,600, I do like New England. Like I said, they're coached up by Belichick. They might be able to get golf into some interceptions and sack them a couple bit, maybe force a couple turnovers. And then 38, I think they're my favorite play. Saints at home, 3,800 against Geno Smith. Yes, he's playing well, but Geno Smith, he hasn't seen a defense like this. He didn't blow up against the Broncos. It was a solid game, but he didn't blow up against the Broncos. But he played the Broncos at home. New Orleans, solid defense. I think New Orleans does hold him down and maybe even get Geno, and might even turn over Geno a couple of times. Yes, he's a scrambling. He's playing above his head right now, but I think my favorite defensive play might be New Orleans, 3,800 at home. They're at home. Most likely will be favored in that game. Yes, Seattle's playing. They are another overachieving team, but Saints has one of the best defenses in the past 2-3 years. Plus, they're at home under 4K. I think you can build off that and still build a side out there. So there's the Week 5 preview. Definitely grade A picks will definitely be out later this week. Plus with other Week 5 fantasy news. Still a lot of injury news that we got to pay attention to. Good info, and we're looking at 43 minute video. Hope you guys are enjoying the Monday night game. Right now we're looking at I think we're still in, let me refresh this. Are we still in halftime or are we going to the third quarter? I think we're still in halftime, 14-6 San Francisco. So you guys enjoy the rest of the game. I have slight fantasy implications in my season-long league. I came into this game about 18.5 points up. The person against me has Matt Gay. Oh, wow. Okay, now it's refreshed. Now we're in the third quarter. It's still 14-6. So the person had Matt Gay. So Matt Gay's already kicked 2 field goals, but I still have a solid lead. So I think I pretty much got this in the bag. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this game and try to catch the rest of it. It's 10 o'clock right now. And Matt Gay has kicked another field goal. So this might be interesting going towards the end. But obviously, going into the fourth quarter, I don't think they need field goals. They're probably going to need, some touchdowns to get what they need to do. But like I said, I think Matt Gay is another 26-yard field goal, so he's kicked a bunch of 3 points or whatever, so he's probably cut the league in half. Hopefully I can hold on to the lead. I got Hawkinson in my league and also got Damian Pierce, so hopefully I can hold on to that. But guys, thank you for watching the video. Hey man, send my info to people that that like fantasy info. I hope I'm your first taste of information for Week 5, and then you compare my advice to other people that you hear for the rest of the week. That's another reason. Hey, I'm a baby YouTuber, so I'm just trying. It's important to get my information out there first. Like I said, if you know anybody, forward them, share my video to other people. Like, subscribe, put the notifications on, and hey, good luck in Week 5. As for me, I'm looking forward to this week because hockey's back. Nashville and San Jose will be playing a international game in Czech Republic. They'll be playing 2 games on the 7th and the 8th, back and forth. And then the first 2 games that are played here in America won't start until November 11th. So hockey's back, and in the midst of football. And Broncos are back. Broncos are the single game on Thursday, so I'll be playing that. So Thursday and Friday I'll be pretty busy leading into the Week 5 slate. So hopefully if I spend a little money, make a little money back. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, all the information. This is Grade A Fantasy, signing off. Aha, just under 45 minutes.